The ocean has hidden monsters for hundreds of years. We have found giant squid, dead whales that look like dragons, even fish with sharp rows of teeth. But sailors always saw something else. Long, scary snake-like animals sliding through the waves. From a Norse snake so big it wrapped around the whole world, to a 50-foot hunter found under a coal mine in Colombia. Here are 7 mythical sea serpents that were actually based on real creatures. Number 7. Yurandonderander. In Norse mythology, there's a serpent so massive it wraps around the entire earth. Yurandonderander, the world's serpent. Ancient Viking sagas over 1,000 years old describe this beast coiled at the bottom of the ocean, gripping its own tail, so large it holds the world together. Release that grip, the end of days begins. Even Thor couldn't kill it without dying himself. But did such a creature ever actually exist? Well, yes, friends. Meet Paleophis colosseus, a giant sea snake that ruled the oceans around 55 million years ago. This wasn't some small reef serpent. This was a deep water predator built for the open ocean. Paleophis stretched over 30 feet long. That's longer than a full-size pickup truck. A snake in the ocean, gliding through open water like a living torpedo. It holds the title of the largest sea snake ever discovered. Nothing before it, nothing after it has ever matched that size. But here's what's wild. Paleophis wasn't related to today's sea snakes at all. It belonged to a completely separate, now extinct family. Modern sea snakes evolved independently millions of years later. This giant, 0 living relatives. So how does a 55-million-year-old snake become a world-ending myth? Vikings sailed constantly. They found massive vertebrate fossils washed onto coastlines, bones too large for any creature they knew. Therefore, they did what humans always do with the unexplained. They built a god-level story around it, a serpent big enough to circle the world. That's Yurandonderander, not a myth from nothing, a memory carved in bone. Speaking of massive creatures lurking in the ocean, what if you could actually hunt them? Not 55-million-year-old fossils, real catches, right now, on your phone. That's Fishing Clash, a mobile fishing game where you cast your line into waters all over the world. We're talking rare species, massive boss fish, even competitive duels against other players in real time. You start small, basic rod, basic bait, but then you upgrade your gear, unlock new fisheries, and suddenly you're pulling in fish bigger than anything you expected. What hooked me is the progression. Every catch levels you up, every upgrade makes the next catch even more satisfying. And the arena mode? You're fishing head-to-head against real people. It gets competitive fast. If the Vikings had this game, they wouldn't have needed to invent Yurandonderander. Download Fishing Clash for free using my link in the description or scan the QR code on screen right now. Use my gift code mystery to get bonus rewards when you start. Link and code are also in the pinned comment. Number 6. Leviathan. Over 3,000 years ago, ancient Hebrew texts described a monster so terrifying that even the seas trembled. The Leviathan, a colossal beast with impenetrable scales, jaws that could crush ships, and breath hot enough to boil the ocean. In the book of Job, God calls this creature untouchable. No sword, no spear, no harpoon could pierce its armor. But did something this massive ever actually patrol our oceans? Well, yes, friends. Meet Leviathan melvillei, a 12-million-year-old prehistoric super predator that ruled the ancient seas. This wasn't your average whale. This was a hypercarnivore built for one thing: destruction. Its teeth alone measured 14 inches long, bigger than a T-Rex tooth. The whole animal stretched over 57 feet, roughly the length of a bowling lane. It could swallow a great white shark whole. Leviathan is considered one of the most powerful ocean predators to have ever existed, period. But here's what's wild. Scientists were so convinced this creature inspired the myth that they literally named it Leviathan, the Hebrew word for Leviathan. The second name? Melvillei, after Herman Melville, who wrote Moby Dick, one real animal behind both an ancient biblical terror and one of the greatest novels ever written. So how did the legend begin? Ancient coastal peoples along the Mediterranean likely found massive fossilized teeth washed ashore, bones far too large for any creature they'd ever seen. Therefore, they did what humans always do with the unexplainable. They turned it into a monster. The Leviathan was never just a myth. It was a memory of something very real and very deadly. Number 5. Tiiamat. Over 4,000 years ago, the Babylonians told stories of Tiiamat, a sea goddess so scary that even the gods were afraid of her. She rose from the ocean as a giant snake-like beast. Her jaws could swallow whole armies. She was the mother of monsters. But could something like her have actually been real? Yes. Meet Mosasaurus, a giant sea reptile that ruled the oceans 66 million years ago. This was no friendly swimmer. It was the deadliest hunter in the ancient seas. Mosasaurus stretched over 56 feet long, bigger than a school bus. Its jaws were 6 feet wide, packed with curved teeth made to crush bone and shell. Nothing in the ocean could beat it. Nothing. But here's the crazy part. Even though it looks like a giant sea snake, Mosasaurus wasn't a snake at all. Its closest living relatives, Komodo dragons, and mosasaur fossils have been found all across the Middle East. Ancient people likely found these huge bones near rivers. Picture finding a 6-foot skull full of crushing teeth. You wouldn't think old reptile. You'd think sea monster. You'd think goddess of chaos. Tiamat wasn't just made up. She was born from the earth, showing its buried secrets. Number 4. Basilosaurus. For hundreds of years, sailors told stories about giant serpents hiding under the waves. Norse legends talked about creatures so long they could wrap around entire ships. Old maps even warned people, "Here be serpents." These weren't dragons. They were worse. Snake-like beasts sliding through deep water, smashing wooden ships like toys. But did something like this ever actually exist? Yes. Meet Basilosaurus. Its name means king lizard, but it wasn't a lizard at all. It was a prehistoric whale that ruled the oceans about 40 million years ago. Basilosaurus grew up to 60 feet long. That's longer than a school bus. Its body was long, thin, almost snake-like. From the surface, it would look exactly like a giant serpent cutting through the water. It was one of the biggest ocean hunters of its time. Nothing came close. But here's the crazy part. Basilosaurus still had tiny back legs on a whale, left over from when its ancestors walked on land. This sea serpent was really a land animal that went back to the ocean. Scientists think Basilosaurus fossils started sea serpent legends around the world. Ancient people finding those bones had no answer. Just a massive snake-shaped skeleton buried in sand. Of course they called it a monster. The sea serpent was real. It just vanished before anyone could name it. Number 3. Titanoboa. Deep in the Amazon, tribes have told stories about the Cobra Grande for hundreds of years, a snake so huge it swallowed boats whole. Legends say it lived under jungle rivers. Its body was so big, it created the rivers itself. When it moved, forests flooded. Its eyes glowed in the dark. No one who saw it came back alive. But could a snake that big ever be real? Yes. Meet Titanoboa. Around 60 million years ago, this monster ruled the swamps of Colombia. A real snake, a real living predator. Titanoboa stretched over 42 feet long. That's a full school bus, alive, moving through dark water. It weighed over 2,500 pounds, heavier than most cars in your driveway. It holds a title no other snake can claim, the biggest snake in Earth's history. Nothing before it, nothing after. Titanoboa is the king. But here's what most people miss. This snake didn't hunt in the trees. Titanoboa lived underwater, attacking crocodiles from below. A snake that hunted crocodiles. Let that sit for a second. So how does this connect? Titanoboa lived in the same jungle where Cobra Grande legends began. Over time, people found giant fossilized bones along riverbanks. Bones so big they seemed impossible. Those finds became stories. Stories became the Cobra Grande, born not from imagination, but from the real bones of the biggest snake that ever lived. But the Amazon wasn't the only place hiding giants beneath its waters. Number 2. Cadborosaurus. For over 100 years, people along Canada's coast have seen something in the water. They call it caddy, a snake-like creature with a head like a horse. Dark coils in the waves. Over 300 sightings near Vancouver Island. Whatever it is, people keep seeing it. But could something like this have been real? Yes. Meet Theosimadon, a sea reptile that ruled the oceans 95 million years ago. Its scariest feature? A neck over 6 meters long. Half its body was just neck. This thing was 12 meters long, bigger than a city bus. Its neck was taller than a 2-story building laid flat. It struck from below like an underwater crane, silent, deadly. One of the longest necks of any ocean hunter. Not on land, in the sea. Theosimadon wasn't a dinosaur. It belonged to a completely different group of reptiles. Where does caddy come from? Experts think sea reptile fossils washed up on shores and started those legends. A 6-meter neck in dark water? That's your sea serpent. The ocean buried the proof. 65 million years deep. But caddy's not the only legend hiding a real monster behind it. Number 1. Giant Orfish. For hundreds of years, sailors told stories of giant serpents under the waves. Norse legends spoke of creatures long enough to wrap around whole ships. Japanese fishermen called it the messenger from the sea god's palace. Every ocean, every culture, the same story. A silver-skinned beast rising from the deep. But did something like this ever exist? Yes. Meet the giant Orfish. It's not ancient. It's alive right now. This thing grows over 36 feet long, longer than a school bus. Its body is flat, shaped like a ribbon, pure silver, with a bright red fin running down its entire back. The longest bony fish on the planet. But despite looking like a nightmare, the oarfish is harmless. No teeth, no venom. It eats tiny plankton, sometimes 3,000 feet below the surface. So why did the myths exist? Because oarfish only surface when sick or dying. Sailors would see this massive silver creature thrashing on the water, unlike anything they'd ever seen. It became a monster, a sea serpent, a warning from the gods, born not from imagination, but something real they couldn't understand. 7 legends. 7 real creatures. The ocean didn't invent these monsters. It just buried them. Subscribe, download, Fishing Clash free, using the link in the description, gift code in the pinned comment. Go grab your rewards before they're gone.